Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to take a look at another PNSO model. I know I've been doing a lot of PNSO lately, but they've been releasing a lot of new stuff over the last few months. And today we're going to take a look at their new Stegosaurus. This Stegosaurus is part of a new line from PNSO. They're somewhere in between the size of the minifigures and their museum line figures. There's only 3 figures currently in this new size scale. It's the Stegosaurus, the Ankylosaurus, and they have a Megalodon. And since it is part of a new line, it also still comes in a box like their large vinyl figures and their museum line figures. And this is the box it comes with right here. You can see you got a nice full art picture of Bieber, the Stegosaurus, on the front of the box. And as you can see, my box took a beating during shipping, but since the figure ships inside this little clamshell packaging, you don't have to worry about it getting damaged in transit. And it is not that high quality cardboard that the museum figures are. It's a much thinner packaging, but other than that, you just got some outline of Bieber on the top of the box, another picture on the other side, and just some product information on the bottom. And just like the museum line, it comes with a pamphlet instead of a book with just a little bit of information on Stegosaurus. So when I took this guy out of the box, I was actually a little more impressed with it than I thought I would be. You know, we all know what PNSO, some of the promotional images don't do these figures justice, or that the paint scheme vastly differs from the promotional images and the images on the box than what we get in hand. And I gotta say, this figure is really well done. There is a couple of nitpicks with it, but I will get into that as we go into further detail looking at the figure. So let's start off with some quick measurements. From nose to the last tail spike, this figure is exactly 7 inches long. And from that tallest plate on its back, it is just under 3.5 inches. So, judging by the plate shape and everything, this is Stegosaurus stenops. So using those measurements, this would put this figure in the 140 scale range. So the pose of this figure, it's a nice walking pose. It's got one of its feet just slightly lift off the ground, like it's just strolling around, looking for some vegetation to forage from. The main body coloration is mostly done in a green color. You got some nice white mixing in with the side of the belly, and underneath that white color goes from the underside of the head all the way down to the tip of the tail. You got some nice brownish markings along the whole body, going down to the tip of the tail. The thagomizers or tail spikes are done in the same color as the plates. The plates are done in a orange color. You got a little bit of that green mixing with the plates as it goes into the orange, and they are done in these black outlines. And these black markings on the plate is one of the nitpicks I have on it. I feel like the way the black is done, it takes away from the paint on the rest of the figure. This kind of looks like it was done with black marker. If you look on the box really quick, you can see the plates. Obviously, this is the prototype promotional image. The black is much more blended in with the plates, and I think that would have looked a lot better than these very sharp contrasting black markings. On the plates, you can see the plates on top of the head are mostly a brown color before they start going into that orange. And looking at the head, you can see there's a very well done Stegosaurus head right there. And just like the Ankylosaurus, the pupil is just painted black, but that's not too much of a big deal for me on such a small figure. I kind of would wish there was a little bit color in that pupil. It actually looks really good on the Ankylosaurus. On the Stegosaurus, it just kind of looks like a very blank stare. And you got a little bit of pink around the orbit right there. You got the nostril right there. And if you look really closely on this figure, I like from the promotional images, I felt like this was gonna be like very, not a well textured figure, but there's a lot of fine detailing and patches of very fine scale sculpted all over this figure. You can see on the thighs right there, there's some nice larger, I guess, osteoderms you can call them, and a lot of nice folds and wrinkles on this figure. You can see the other side of the tail has some patches of scalation, and underneath the throat you can see Stegosaurus had these bony osteoderms protecting their neck from predators. You can see those are faintly sculpted in, but they are there. There's some more nice folds and wrinkles along the throat. The toes, claws are not painted on this figure at all, and some more detail along the stomach. Very well done Stegosaurus figure. Some more nice wrinkles and muscle detail along the side of the figure. And here's one of the problems I have with the figure. You know, in 2014 we got that beautiful Sophie Stegosaurus that is now on display in the British Museum of Natural History, and that skeleton taught us a lot of what Stegosaurus looked like. A lot of the skeletons that are on display in museums are composites from different animals of the same species, but you know, because of growth variation, depending on how old the animal is, that some of those reconstructions are out of proportion. So with Sophie, a vast majority of the skeleton was found, and the newest reconstruction has the front legs being more proportionate to the back legs. A lot of, you know, earlier reconstructions of Stegosaurus, it had this very high sloping back, but with the Sophie reconstruction, I actually have the Safari model. When I do the comparison, I'll take it out and show you what I'm talking about is done in that new Sophie reconstruction. I feel like since it was done in 2014 that I really wish this figure reflected the new look of Stegosaurus, but you know, other than, you know, I don't like the black markings, the way they're done on the plates, and the front legs are too short compared to the back legs. Other than that, it is a really nice looking Stegosaurus. Now, I know a lot of people were kind of disappointed with the size of this figure, but this new line does not have a designated scale. There's no scale listed in it like the museum line, which is a very loose 1/35 scale. These are just smaller models with no intention of being scaled with each other. So as this line continues to grow, we're going to get dinosaurs of all different shapes and sizes that probably won't scale with each other. But just appreciate that we are getting still really nice, more affordable models from PNSO. So let's move on to the comparison point of the video. I have a lot of different Stegosaurus models and other Stegosaurus species to compare to this figure, so let's get on with it. Alright, first up, let's get the big comparison out of the way. Here is the new Safari Ltd 2019 Stegosaurus, and you can see a vast difference in the way the PNSO is compared to the Safari figure. You know, the front leg, the back is not as sloped as is on this figure. It's just a very different looking animal now, and I know a lot of people like their Stegosaurus done in green with the brightly colored plates, but I feel like a lot of companies have already done that color scheme, so I wasn't a huge fan of the Safari coloration at first, but it has grown on me, so I do commend them on kind of going against the norm and doing a totally different color scheme we're not used to. I mean, I'm really not trashing this figure. I just feel like that pose and color scheme has been done numerous times before by other companies. And since I was talking about, you know, everyone's done a green Stegosaurus with orange or red back plates, here it is with the Walking with Dinosaurs Toyway Stegosaurus. And here it is with the Bullyland Stegosaurus with all the nice paint scuffing, because we all know with Bullyland, if you just look at it wrong, the paint's going to scuff. And here it is with the Reborn juvenile or baby Stegosaurus melon. And you can see they all pretty much share a very similar color scheme. And here it is with just a couple more Stegosaurus figures before we move on to other Stegosaurus species. This is the older Safari Ltd Stegosaurus, and here it is with the old Rosaurus Carnage Collection Stegosaurus. And it's kind of cool when you go back and look at these older models, you know, just how, like, for instance, the Thagomizers on the tail, now they are more to the side of the tails, which they would be a much more effective weapon. But if you look at some of the older figure, the spikes are pointed higher up on the tail. Same thing on the Rosaurus. So it's nice when you start taking out these older figures just to see how our image of these animals has changed throughout the years. And I lied, I did have one more Stegosaurus figure. Here it is with the Batat Terraline Stegosaurus. Now this is a different species than Stegosaurus tenops. This is supposed to be Stegosaurus ungulatus, and obviously it has 8 tail spikes, which is incorrect, but when this figure was sculpted, it was based off the Peabody Museum's mount of Stegosaurus ungulatus, and I've seen that mount many times in person. Peabody Museum's only like an hour and a half away from me, and that skeleton is a perfect example of how disproportionate Stegosaurus can look in museum mounts. It's mounted from different species. If you ever go back and look at pictures of that Peabody Museum mount, the neck is hilariously short. The back legs are massively long, and obviously it has the 8 tail spikes, which is incorrect, but I know Peabody finally got enough money to do a complete remodel of their dinosaur hall, and I can't wait for them to start doing that, because a lot of those mounts have been standing in the same position for almost 100 years, and it's supposed to be state-of-the-art when it's done. And they're obviously going to redo their Stegosaurus, and I heard they're going to dig in old Allosaurus out of the basement and have it, of course, fighting Stegosaurus. And here's just a couple other Stegosaurus species. Here it is with the Carnegie Collection Marigaya, which had a very long neck. And here it is with the Batat Decentaurus. And here it is with the PNSO. As I knock it over, let me just rearrange quick. Chungkingosaurus, which this figure comes with the Yangchuanosaurus 2-pack, which is part of the museum collection line. And you can see that, you know, these two figures are just about the same size. And you can see with these other Stegosaurs, you know, the front legs and back legs are much more proportionate to each other, and the back isn't as arched as it is on the PNSO figure and some of the older Stegosaurus figures. And here it is with one of the newer PNSO releases. That's that Yangchuanosaurus and Chungkingosaurus diorama 2-pack that they came out with. And I would like if PNSO came out with like a nice museum line Allosaurus with a base, maybe with a, you know, making a scale with the Stegosaurus and leave a spot that we can place the Stegosaurus on there. I think that would be pretty cool. And here it is with the new PNSO Ankylosaurus, which I absolutely love. This Ankylosaurus, you can see just how much bigger, even though they're both in the same line, this Ankylosaurus is compared to the Stegosaurus, and they both retail for the same price, which is $19.99. But like I said, these figures aren't meant to scale with each other. I'm just pointing out the size difference among them in the line. And last but not least, since I mentioned Allosaurus, here it is with the new Safari Ltd Allosaurus. And as you can see, this Allosaurus is a little too big to scale with this Stegosaurus, unless you want to treat this as a sub-adult animal. And like I said earlier, I'd love if PNSO came out with a really nice Allosaurus that can scale with this Stegosaurus. So, final thoughts on this figure. I think this is a very good Stegosaurus, with those couple critiques I made on it about the front legs should be a little bit longer, the back straighten out, and I just did not like the way the black markings were done on the plates. Really holds this figure back from being a great Stegosaurus figure. I mean, this is just my opinion. Other people could think this is the best Stegosaurus figure on the market right now, and that's fine. This is just my take on it. You can either agree with me or disagree with me. It's a free country. So, I do really like this model. I do not regret picking it up. I think it's much more detailed than it looked in its promotional images. And, I just kind of wish it reflected more of the Sophie reconstruction. But it is what it is. I still like the figure. It's definitely not my favorite PNSO that has come out this year. They have done a absolutely fantastic job of almost all the figures that have come out so far since 2019, and just in my opinion, I think this is probably one of the weaker dinosaurs that came out from them, but that's not necessarily a bad thing, considering it's still a nice looking figure, and their products are just fantastic, and they are quickly becoming one of the best dinosaur figure companies around right now. This figure retails for $19.99. I order mine off of Amazon. That's where I get all my PNSO. I'll leave a link in the description to Amazon so you can order it. I know Everything Dinosaur is supposed to be getting a big shipment in of all the new models, so I'll also leave a link to their PNSO section on Everything Dinosaur. Yep. If you're in the US, you're probably just better off ordering from Amazon. If you're outside the US, you're probably just better off ordering from Everything Dinosaur, since they do charge you for shipping depending on the size of the item. So I know I've been doing a lot of PNSO lately. They've just been releasing a lot of stuff. But as of right now, this is the last of the new stuff that I have picked up. So knowing them, probably in another couple weeks, I'm sure they'll probably have another onslaught of fantastic new stuff coming out. And the cycle will start over again. So for the rest of the week, I picked up a bunch of new Jurassic World toys. So I'll be trying to get through those reviews this week, going to the next week, and I may just stop reviewing some older dinosaur stuff from other companies until some more new stuff gets released. So thanks for checking out the review, guys, and don't forget to like and subscribe. The channel is growing great. I appreciate everyone that is subscribing, and I'll see you guys for the next one.